morning Year 4, so here we are for our Big Write lesson this week. You're going to be producing an explanation text. So hopefully by the end of the 2 lessons you will know the features of an explanation text and you will also have produced one. So it says here, an explanation text gives us information about a subject that we are interested in or something we would like to know more about. So what's the purpose? The purpose is for your explanation text to tell us how something works or to give us some information about something. So, first thing we need to think about is you'll need a general statement that is used to introduce the topic of your explanation. So for example here, you can probably see straight away we've got an apple and we've got the glass of water. Okay, so what do we think this explanation text might be about? We've got an apple and a glass of water. You probably can see the word healthy jumping out at you there. So their opening statement at the beginning of their explanation text is there are lots of things that you can do, that we can do to stay healthy and to keep illnesses away. So a general statement. And then it will go into more detail. A series of logical steps explaining how or why something occurs or explaining how to do something. So after your opening general statement, you then have a series of statements or paragraphs about explaining a little bit more about whatever it is that we're writing about. So for this one here, they moved on to then saying the best drinks for staying healthy are water and milk. Fruit juices can be good for us, but they can have a lot of sugar in them. Fizzy drinks are not good for us at all. So a little bit more detail. The steps then continue until the final state is produced or the explanation is complete. So let's have a look at the features. So we've already said about the opening statement. Before that we'll need a title, and your title will explain what the text is for. You then will have your opening statement about the subject. You will have clear, simple points. So similar to your information text you did, it was all very well structured and they were clear as well. So that's a similar one. Technical words. So if you've got any words that are quite appropriate to the topic, so for example, if you were talking about the water cycle, you would need to include words like evaporation, condensation. They're what we call the technical words. Conjunctions, so we've all heard of this word before. They're words that connect your sentences together. So because, resulting in there, just a couple of examples. Time connectives, you will all have heard of that before as well. So first, next, after that, finally, then, things like that, just to keep them in their order. We're going to write in the present tense. You're going to try and include a summary paragraph at the end. And you might want to include a diagram with some labels. So lots and lots of things there to consider. Now you will have your success criteria in front of you because that's up on Firefly. So if you work through that, then hopefully that will keep you on track. So a little look at some of the features. So it says how to write an explanation text. So we'll start here with the technical vocabulary. So remember when using subject-specific vocabulary to put it in bold and in a glossary. Now some of you in your reading books in school, even it might have been a few years ago, will have seen examples of this, or sometimes if we've had different textbooks, if words are in bold, it's words that we're assuming that the reader might not know what they mean. So you could include a glossary, which means you'll give a definition of that word as well. Time connectives help the reader to understand the order. So we've got to, it's not like your information text in the sense that people will jump all over with this one. People will read through it in order. So your time connectives will help people to understand that. Diagrams, so make sure your diagrams are clear and accurately labelled. Title, you could make the title a question, it can help to guide your writing. Text boxes, did you know, with interesting facts in, something like that. An introduction, so you should introduce your main ideas as well as giving a brief description. Present tense, these things are happening now. So let's have a look at a little example. So here we've got an explanation telling us how do seeds grow. So have a little look at it. Are there any features that you can see straight away that are jumping out at you? Yeah, we've got technical vocabulary, time connected, diagrams, title, text box, introduction, present tense. So straight away there we can see a title, can't we? So it's nice and big and bold. You've got a title. It's big and bright. And it stands out to us. Okay, we've got a couple little diagrams. They've not got any labels on them, but we can see here that it's shown us how the seed starts to grow and as it produces, it gets more leaves and things like that. And we've got a picture of a rose there. So we've got a diagram. We've got a title. Now we haven't got any text boxes on this one, but that's not necessarily something that you have to include. It's got an introduction. Well, let's have a look. So the introduction would be at the start. So it said plants are living things. Most plants start from seeds. Plants need water, air and sunlight in order to grow. Plant seeds are usually buried in soil. So yes, we've got an introduction. It sums up what it's going to tell us about. It doesn't start telling us how they grow. It tells us a bit about what they need and where they're buried. So general introduction in the present tense. And are there any technical words in there that we can spot? Nothing over technical in there, is there? So this one wouldn't necessarily need a glossary. Are there any time connectives? Can you spot any time connectives? Say a couple to yourself if you can. Can you spot any? So hopefully you will have spotted we've got firstly, then after, later, and then after again. So we have got time connected. So even though there's not loads and loads of writing there, it ticks most of the boxes for our features. So let's have another look. Let's have a look at another example. So it's not overly clear, this one, but I just wanted to show you with the arrows and how it keeps us in an order in a different way. Because when you come to do your explanation text, you can set it out how you want. So you might choose to do it just in paragraphs like that and put your diagram at the bottom. Or you might choose to do something a little bit more like this. And you can see the arrows are guiding the reader in the direction of what they need to read it. So, have we got a title? Can you spot a title on there anywhere? Anything that stands out at you? Well, yes, it's right at the top, How Honey is Made. And it's not quite as big as the previous one, but it's in a different colour, so it stands out. So we've got a title. This one has got some text boxes, if you see. Okay, so it's got the good structure to it, and it's well organised with the text boxes. Has it got an introduction? Yeah, there's no introduction in this one, so it could have been a good place to put the introduction in a box here maybe. So that's one thing that's missing from this one. So they could have put an introduction just about bees and honey maybe, about, you know, people eating honey where people might eat with honey on their cereal, in their porridge, you might dribble it on their toast, on some pancakes, and they could have just given us a little introduction there. So no introduction. We've got present tense, technical vocabulary, anything technical there? So maybe honeycomb might be one. Not everyone might not know what that, a nectar, that could be another one. Now these words in this one haven't been written in bold, so it's quite good for us to find things that maybe could be improved by it, because then that you could then make sure that you do that in your own explanation text. Are there any other words there that we think? So I think we should have made these in bold, and then they could have just maybe added a glossary box. So that's what you might like to do. So do those keywords in bold, and then in your glossary you would write nectar and then give a description of what nectar actually means. Are there time connectives? Can't see many of those either. However, because they've got the arrows, that helps us to understand the order to read it in, doesn't it? But it would have been quite nice for them to include some time connectives as well. You can see we've got in, and we've got in, haven't we? And we've spoken about trying to vary your openers, and we've got the, and we've got the here. So if you choose not to include your time connectives, but maybe use an arrow system like this one, that's great, but then be thinking, how can I make sure that my sentence openers vary? And we've got plenty of diagrams, but we've got a diagram at each stage, which is good. And the writing, I guess, rather than having a caption, the writing explains, like we've got beehives here, we've got a picture of a beehive to go with that. So that's another way that you could set out your work. So it's a different kind of explanation text, that one, where it's been set out. There are things missing from it, so learn from that about having your keywords in bold, adding a glossary somewhere, making sure you have an introduction, okay? And if you don't choose to use your time connectives and maybe use an arrow system instead, think about your openers and how you can vary them. So your task is going to be writing an explanation text of how to look after a pet. So you'll need to think of a title and an introduction. Now I'll just grab the plan that you've got on Firefly, which we'll look at in a little bit. But here on your plan you will see you've got a box for your title and then for your introduction. So you'll need to choose your pet first. So your title won't be how to look after a pet. Your title will be something different because you'll each choose a different pet that you're going to explain how to look after. Then you'll need to think about your introduction. So use a clear title that indicates what you are writing about. So like I said, don't want the pet anymore. Okay, you will get rid of that and you'll replace that with whatever pet it is that you choose. Okay, so how to look after a rabbit you might choose. Then it says decide whether to use diagrams, charts, illustrations or flow charts to help explain. So this one is more of a flow chart because the arrows are showing us the direction in which the information is flowing. You can choose how you want to set it out. Try to make the title intrigue the reader. For example, why do sloths hang about? So if you're struggling, you can just go with how to look after a rabbit or whatever pet you choose. Okay, but try and challenge yourself to make something a bit more interesting as your title, to grab that reader's attention. Using how or why in a title helps. So here we go, why do sloths hang about? Or here we've got how to look after your rabbit. You might say how best to give the rabbit a great life, something like that. Use the first paragraph to introduce the subject to the reader. Okay, so let's just go back to this one here. So plants are living things. Most plants start from seeds, and it just gives a little bit of information about plants. So you would then here, excuse me, think then about, you might start off, lots of people in the UK own a pet. Okay? However, there are lots of different pets, and therefore, see if you can finish my sentence for me, and therefore, what might you put at the end of it? So lots of people in the UK own a pet. However, there are lots of different pets, and therefore, see if you can finish my sentence. And that could be a little introduction to my explanation text of how to look after a rabbit. Okay, something to consider here. So interest the reader with an exclamation or a question. Beware, whirlwinds can kill, or did you know? So little things like that will keep the reader interested in your piece of work. Strange as it may seem, ... not many people know that. Okay, so this is a chance for you to carry out some research and find out some good facts about your pets that you're writing about. So it might be quite good to jot those couple of bits down. So beware, it might be more of a danger to a pet that you're writing about. or did you know? So if you've got a pen and paper, just quickly scribble those down, strange as it may seem. That's quite a nice one that could grab the reader's attention, or not many people know that, so find them really interesting. Dig deep on the internet, try and find a really good fact about your pet that you're writing about. And that could just go in a separate box somewhere on the page. Okay, and then to finish off, what I would like you to do is to reread your explanation, pretending that you don't know anything about how to look after that pet. And once you've done that, think to yourself, well, now I've read that, do I know how to truly look after that pet? And if the answer is yes, then you've done a great job. If not, if there's something missing, like how do I give this animal some exercise, then that might be just something that you need to add in. Finish by drawing all your ideas together in a concluding paragraph. So that on your success criteria is your challenge, it's your Eureka challenge. See if you can give me a concluding paragraph that sums up everything that you've written about at the end for the reader. If specialised terminology is used, a glossary may be needed. So remember your glossary. If there's any technical words that you have used in your explanation text about your animal, make sure you put them in bold or underline them, or you make sure you do the same thing for each word so the reader knows, and then add them to your glossary. So, your task. This has been set as a task for you today on Firefly. This is just an example of what you could do if you were choosing to do about dogs, and then you've got your plan. So it says, here's a picture of a pet dog with information about how to look after it. Feed dog meal and meat, always have water available, have a haircut every 3 months, there's a West Highland Terrier, train it as a puppy, take for regular walks. So they're just obviously little snippets of information. You would need to expand on those. Whatever it is that you decide to pull out for your pet, you'd need to expand on your ideas so you get a nice paragraph about each. So it says, your task is to write an information leaflet, or it can be, however, you just have to be a leaflet, you can produce whatever you want, on how to look after a pet of your choice. Remember to include where it sleeps, what and how often it should be fed, exercise required, and how to keep it healthy. Think about its teeth. Do you need to take it to the dentist? Do you need to take it to the vet for injections? Things like that. So do lots of research on your animal that you choose, your pet, and then you've got your planning sheet. So this is Thursday's lesson. Okay, so you'll get your title and you'll think about your introduction. You'll then answer these questions: where does it sleep and live? What and how often should it be fed? Exercise and keeping it healthy. You might want to include more than those 3 paragraphs there. You might want to expand, you might find some other ideas. Brilliant, okay? But they're just some guidelines for you and to help you along the way. And then Friday, so tomorrow's lesson, you'll then produce your explanation text, and you might do it double page spread, you might do a little leaflet, you might just get some plain paper, you might do a flow chart with the arrows. It's entirely up to you. But make sure when you finish, take a picture of it and send it back via the task to your form teacher, ready to be marked. Okay, so I know it's not quite the same as all being in class together and sharing our ideas, but hopefully this has helped you a little bit and given you some food for thought. And a little introduction to explanation texts. We've got the success criteria here, which again is attached to the task on Firefly. So these are things that we're looking for. We want a title, an opening statement or an introduction, technical words, conjunctions, your time connectives, got to be written in the present tense, and a diagram with labels. And if you want to challenge yourself, then you can try and include a summary paragraph at the end. Okay, so good luck Year 4. We're all looking forward to reading your explanation texts.